I asked my 4-year-old what she wanted to be when she grew up. She said, not married to daddy. My daughter Zoe caught me completely off guard with that one. I was making her grilled cheese for lunch when she just blurted it out. I stopped mid-flip and looked at her little face, dead serious as she colored at the kitchen table. What do you mean, sweetie? I asked, trying not to laugh. Well, you're married to daddy and you're always tired and grumpy, and you have to cook and clean and do laundry. That looks boring. I sat down next to her, suddenly seeing my life through her eyes. She wasn't wrong. Between my job at the insurance office and taking care of our house, I was exhausted most days. My husband Jake worked construction, so he'd come home covered in dust and collapse on the couch while I made dinner. Marriage isn't supposed to be boring, baby, I said. But even as I said it, I wondered if I believed it anymore. The next morning, Zoe's comment was still stuck in my head during my commute. When had I become the tired, grumpy mom she didn't want to be like? I remembered being her age, watching my own mom rush around the kitchen while dad watched TV. I'd promised myself I'd be different. That weekend, Jake was supposed to take Zoe to the park while I caught up on housework. Instead, he got a call from his buddy Mike about some fishing trip and just announced he was leaving. Zoe can come with me, he said, grabbing his tackle box. She hates fishing, Jake. You know that. He shrugged. She'll be fine. Kids need to learn to be flexible. I watched him load up his truck while Zoe stood by the window looking disappointed. She'd been looking forward to the playground all week. That's when something clicked. I grabbed my keys. Get in the car, Zoe. We're going to have an adventure. Her face lit up. Where are we going? Wherever you want. We spent the whole day doing whatever made her happy. First the park, then ice cream, then the pet store to look at puppies. At the bookstore, she picked out 3 books and I didn't say no to any of them. We had dinner at that kid-friendly pizza place with the terrible animatronic band she loved. When we got home, Jake was already back, beer in hand, asking what was for dinner. We already ate, I said. He looked confused. Well, what am I supposed to eat? There's sandwich stuff in the fridge. You'll figure it out. The next week, I started making changes. Small ones at first. I stopped doing Jake's laundry. He was a grown man who could learn to use a washing machine. I quit cooking elaborate dinners every night and started making simple stuff or ordering takeout when I was tired. When Jake complained, I told him the same thing he always told me. You'll be flexible. The biggest change was with Zoe. Instead of rushing through bedtime to get back to housework, I started really listening to her stories about preschool, her imaginary friend named Rainbow, and her theories about why dogs can't talk. 3 weeks later, she was coloring again at the kitchen table when I asked, what do you want to be when you grow up now? She looked up with crayon-stained fingers and said, a mom, but the fun kind like you. Jake overheard from the living room. Since when are you the fun kind? Zoe piped up without missing a beat. Since she stopped being married to you in her brain. I nearly spit out my coffee. What does that mean? You don't do everything for daddy anymore. Now you do fun stuff with me instead. That night, Jake and I had our first real conversation in months. He admitted he'd gotten lazy, assuming I'd always handle everything. I told him I wanted a partner, not another child to take care of. It took time, but we figured out how to split things better. More importantly, I learned that being a mom didn't mean disappearing into just cleaning and cooking.